So how are you feeling about the trip?
Quite apprehensive, if I'm completely honest. It's I've only met Anne once, and her uncle and aunt, Moses and Carol. I'm nervous and excited about going back and seeing them, but I don't really know what to expect.
And so, Doug, this is the photo.
This is the photograph that started everything. I sort of look at it some days and just think about, you know, how far we've come and yet how far we have to go. My name is Duncan Geese. I'm the founder of One and the One Foundation. The young girl that was photographed by a padlock tap in an informal settlement in Nairobi. That was really the driving motivation for me to start One and the One Foundation. We have just reached the incredible milestone of £30 million raised and 5 million lives changed. So I'm going back to Africa to see some of the WASH projects for myself.
But the first stop is to visit the girl in the photo, Anne and Jerry. In 2013, Duncan launched an 18-month search to find her in Kibera, Nairobi, an informal settlement of over 1 million people with its own water challenges. Born into poverty and separated from her siblings after the death of both parents. Even by Kibera's standards, Anne's life had been tragic. But money raised by One had reunited the children under the roof of their aunt and uncle and paid for their schooling. Today, Duncan would meet Anne for only the second time.
This is a bit of a pilgrimage in some ways to come back and see her again. Yeah, I'm just a bit anxious. 2 on 2. I never in a million years thought that we would ever meet. I have the newspaper cutting that I framed. It's difficult to explain even now how one photograph can change so many people's lives. And every day I get up and I look at that and I go, this is the day that I have to go and do something else for somebody, because there are millions of people like you when you were a child who struggle with that every day.
It makes me feel special, like every journey has to start somewhere, and then I feel like I was the start of the journey. So it makes me feel proud, because I feel like because of me, many kids who are like me before in Kibera, I think their lives have changed, and too many people have access to clean water right now, and that is wholesome. Yeah.
Let me tell you one thing for sure, I do not know where I would have been if Duncan didn't find me. That's why up to date I consider Duncan as my guardian angel.
After an emotional few hours with the Ian Jerry family, it was time for Duncan to meet up with One Water colleague Ian Spooner and see the Foundation's life-changing projects on the ground firsthand.
In 2024, there are still many communities that are getting the water that they drink, that they wash with, that they cook with from streams, rivers, wells. Basically living life on the edge is really shocking.
Kudera kumudzi kunoko wafumwa nazi anthu sanamwe madzi apanjigo kapena pabofu ayi amamwe madzi ofula monga mmene maonera ndi anthu opa umphawi ndi mmene ulili chakudya chimene amadya chogula kuti akagulenso madzi amana kuti mpovula kuli bwino tikangomwa madzi adzithaphwe omwewo ndi ana athu amapezeka ndi matenda akolera makolo athu matenda akolera.
Tragically, a 6-year-old girl had recently died in this village of cholera. The suffering in this community, mirrored across so many in Malawi, is driven by water scarcity, but compounded by crop failure, rampant hyperinflation and hunger, leaving ripples of despair in its wake.
Life is very tough in Malawi. We are having a lot of climate change impacts. The cyclone and also the famine that we have this year, that is having a very huge impact on the rural communities.
Chaka chinocho sitinakolole ola china chilichonse koma tikati talima timakolola ndithu mwina malumba 40 mwina 3 koma chaka chino la dengu sitinalipezi ndakumana ndi mavuto a njala timanga sidakolole tikiswa chokwiya.
In Kenya we have experienced severe drought. In big cities like Nairobi, we are witnessing a very high population growth rate because these are people fleeing from areas that are affected by climate vulnerabilities in the rural areas. But with the support of One Foundation, we have reached about 6,000 households serving the people with simplified sewer systems. So it's a proud moment for WhatsApp and for the One Foundation, big wins, because people have dignified sanitation in these informal settlements.
So the pilot's been so successful that the African Development Bank have also now contributed further funding to expand the programme to construct 35 kilometres of piped sewer systems.
Water is indeed a good catalyst for transforming lives, but it can also spur some economic growth. When people walk long distances to get water, it means 2 hours of not doing any economic activity.
You know, people here are highly entrepreneurial, but sometimes the blockage is access to water.
Bambo sali panchito, mai sali panchito kumatinaganiza za business. Koma chifukwa kuti business imafuna mazi kumbali yoti kukanda zinthu zije zimabwera imwina ncheche chani kuti usamalire bwino mazi zimakhazi kuti mfukira. China chilichonse pakhomo pathu zisizi kuvuta. Ana ndikwalipirira sikulu kuzera mu ndalama tikuthokoza kwambiri chifukwa kuti pano ndalama
koma tabwera amazi alipo kuzatikonzera njigo panopa tinamba kumapanga mabizinesi ati pafupi. Mowa ujani mutakhandi kuphika nditi kwa chaka chachikhalireni moti ndapindula ndamanga nyumba yanga ndiponso ndinagula mbuzi yanga ndiponso anathu kusukulu akumapita moyenera fuka nthawi imene amatha kuchedwa kupita kunjigo chifukwa chakutalikira.
I guess the best example, a showcase of how water can transform a community was in Chikwawa.
And it was absolutely mind-blowing. 60% of that community now had irrigated crops that they could not only feed themselves, but they generated £1,500 in 1 year. They bought everybody 5 goats. They're starting to build houses. When you spend time amongst communities, the resilience people have, the determination to improve their lives and those of their families is ever present. With such grace, humility and optimism about the future.
When you bring improved water and sanitation facilities to a community, the joy that you see and the benefits, the ripple effect. I don't think anyone when we first started it would ever have thought that we'd be sitting here today, raised 30 million.
The 5 million lives that we've changed are not lives that we've changed by ourselves. They are lives that you've changed. And whether that's a little bit of money that's come into the foundation or an enormous amount of money. So it's because of people like you that are sat here today that this is possible, and I just want to say a massive thank you. I just hope that as we look to the future that everything that we've done that we can just build on and make bigger and bigger and bigger.
If I'm literally one person and my life was changed because of access to the clean water. You can imagine how many people would like to be like me and not suffer from these things that I suffered. And I hope people who are supporting One will continue so that too many lives will be impacted.
We are one.
We are one.
We are one.